and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 345. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only Too Fresh Crash. How are you?
I'm doing good.
How's things? It seems like a lifetime ago since I spoke to you last.
Yeah, man. When we last did the podcast
Sunday.
a week ago? Oh,
Yeah.
Sunday. My bad. Definitely a lifetime. A couple of lifetimes in Elden Ring. Fun fact.
And of course, joining us back for this week's episode is the one and only Matt P. Video. Matt, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. I thought for sure you were coming to me first this week. You did this with your mouth. You went for like an M.
Yeah.
I saw it. I witnessed it.
You want the truth?
Go on.
Forgot what your name was.
Wow.
I literally went
1 week.
Mark.
I literally
Mark P.
No, I couldn't think of what your intro was, which is Matt P. Video. Don't ask me why I couldn't think of it. It just didn't come to my brain for a second.
That's fair.
You know.
That's fair.
I'll let you off. It happens. If you didn't know, this is My Xbox and Me, our weekly Xbox podcast here on youtube.com/myxboxandme and across all podcast services. If you want to get the show early, head over to patreon.com/mcfixer where you can get some other goodies and some other stuffs. And it's a new month. So big shout out to our Patreon producers, Aaron Guard and the one and only FNH Paul. Thank you, lads, for all your continued support, keeping the lights on and keeping the show going. Topic of the show this week. Not so much a question, but I think we can form a question around it. So I'm going to read it in its entirety, and then we'll tackle it bit by bit after that, all right?
Love it.
Dear Corey... Okay, let's stop right there. Hold up, everybody. Let's slow it down.
Let's just rewind slightly, because you said, I'm going to read this in its entirety, and then...
My name is MC Fixer. My name is Fixer. My name is Fix. My name isn't Corey on this goddamn podcast. Don't be calling me Corey. You're not my mum. Anyone got anything to say on that? I'm gonna knock you out. What you got to say?
I'm not gonna say it. Core.
I hate you. Shut up. Anyway, dear MC Fixer, Crash, Matt, and Haley. How does Haley keep getting mentioned? Listening to last week's episode 343 and your chat about anxiety around completion made me reflect on my own gaming habits. Pre-pandemic, my commute to work was my regular chance to indulge using Switch or mobile, and now following lockdown/remote working, a cheeky 30 to 60 minutes of an evening is actually rare, but a true joy. Life of any gamer parent is one filled with consistent interruptions. So quick resume, Game Pass, play anywhere is/are far and away my favorite next gen features. All of a sudden, my gaming life mirrors my insert streaming platform of choice life. Okay. Which life? The content buffet is open, and on a whim, I consume multiple short form/long form offerings on demand. I can sample any item on the menu. The buffet hosts remember exactly how far through I am with every item. I can access the content buffet from my device, from any device. The analog is making me hungry for more content, so I'll stop. But before I do, Corey, my name is Fixer. Stop calling me Corey. Corey, don't feel guilty that you aren't clearing your content plate. The all-you-can-eat rules have gone. There's so much more you can consume on offer. The goal here isn't full belly; it's happy taste buds. There is no game in recent memory that's particularly due to sleep deprivation that I would have been able to play without sometimes chunking into 20 minutes. Isan in small doses.
Yeah.
Microsoft's content catering service really provides the best dining experience, and I hope the competition sees the work of their rivals and levels up their hospitality teams. Like the content buffet junk I can't stop. Yeah, you've gone with an analogy here, and I respect it. I respect
me
it
too.
a lot. Thanks for reading, Law, aka Original Cookie Matt. P.S. Play Death's Door. It's delicious.
Agreed.
Thank you for the email. We do appreciate it. I think the question has opened up more a broader question of I'm now hungry, and not only that, but
Sure.
a bigger question in terms of beating video games, which is something we touched on a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if we went into full in depth. I've always been of the mind that to be considered a reviewer, you should beat said video. We have changed and we've become something different, and I wouldn't really consider us reviews. When you see us do reviews, they are more impressions more than they are reviews nowadays, just because the sheer amount of time it takes to review a game. And I've got so much respect and admiration for anybody who reviews video games, because to sit down and play a video game that is 40 hours long and to be in a 4-day span or a 3-day span or a 2-day, sometimes it can be stupid, these embargoes. You really do have to give people credit, because not only are they reviewing said game, they are playing it. They have to make the review. They've got to write the review. Some people are doing videos. Some people are doing TikTok content around it. It's become a whole another monster. And I think just the way I've changed, especially now that I'm almost 30 years old, and just the way my business has been set up is very different. Just don't have time. I don't feel guilty anymore. There was to full transparency, there was a time that I was like, especially since all this GTA stuff is starting to really take off, that I was like, do I still deserve to have a seat at the table on my Xbox and me? And do I still deserve to have an opinion on certain things? And yeah, I do, because it's an opinion. That's all it is. You're listening to three schmucks in different parts of the world talk about the things they love. Yeah, you can pull faces all you want, Chris. You know, like, that's what we do here. So I don't feel guilty anymore. I did. And just life has changed, you know? Like, I don't know. Where do you come down on this, Matt? Like, in terms of, like, beating games nowadays and things like that. You work in the industry as well as so other than doing just this, you have another industry job. Like, what's it like for you nowadays?
I think in general the conversation is changing, right? And I think you're right. I think there's a difference between journalists and reviewing games as a journalist and reviewing games like we do, right? Like we did with Dying Light. I think at this point, you should, or hopefully you will get to a point, if you're brand new to this show, where you will learn enough about us to understand what we're saying when we're talking about a game, right? When you put 10 hours into Dying Light and I put 60 hours into Dying Light,
yeah,
you know where that game's going. You know what you're enjoying about that game, and you know if it's a game for you or not. And what we're trying to offer is more context on top of how you already know us and the sort of games we enjoy, to align your thoughts with ours and give you a good idea of whether or not you will enjoy this game. When you're a journalist, I think there's potentially, depending on which publication you work for and stuff like that, but there's potentially more pressure to be more objective in reviewing stuff than subjective.
I don't know about objective. I disagree with that part of it, right? As long as I'm understanding words properly.
I think no, yeah. Objective is like being
biased, right?
No, that's subjective.
No, but I'm saying
is
like
where it's your
objective,
opinion.
subjective in terms of like, for me, I think maybe this is what you meant. I don't know. But what I think it is like, if you're looking for an in-depth review on something beyond, do I like said video game? You go to your IGNs, your Polygons, your this, your that. You go for that deep dive of a spoiler-free review about said thing. With me, at least from my point of view, I'm going to jump on the podcast and be like, these are all the things I love about it, and here's a couple of things I dislike about it, and then let someone else make up their mind based on that. And it isn't, this game has 25 maps and 22 guns, and these mechanics are da-da-da-da-da. We'll touch on mechanics if they're really cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know what the basis of a video game is. You don't need us to explain that X is to jump, and this is to do this, and this is to do that, right?
And maybe
X is
that's
almost never jump.
No, I know. It's GTA.
That's PlayStation.
No, but it could have been. It could have been. Don't do that. It could have been.
What uses X to jump? Give me
It
one
could have
game.
been. I'm just saying it could have
Give
been.
me one game. Just one game.
Do you know what the problem is? X is the crouch in GTA, so on the keyboard. So I think that's where my mind went.
Okay, I'll let you slide.
Yeah, maybe then instead of objective, I should have said analytical.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
look, I think whoever is reviewing Elden Ring for any publication should probably, and you could argue this yes or no, whatever, should probably have played other From Software games, should probably have an understanding
Yes.
of what the legacy of
Yeah.
that game means. And then look at it from that point of view of what does this mean to a brand new player? What does this mean to an experienced player? And then I'm going to score this game in the grand scheme of the scoring of my website. And therefore, if I give Elden Ring a 10 and Horizon gets a 9, that says something. Analytically or objectively, that says something, and they have to be aware of that, right? That's not something that we do.
No.
Yeah, I think one thing that's important to talk about as long as we're talking about reviews is I forget who it was, but somebody did tweet out while all the Elden Ring reviews were coming out that a lot of times reviewers, when you get so far into a franchise, a reviewer will be like, I don't want to review that because I won't enjoy that experience and you won't get a good review out of me.
Resident Evil.
So the longer those franchises exist, the more they go to players who enjoy those games. And in a way, you also get a more truthful review for the people who enjoy those franchises,
Sure.
which sometimes can look more biased and skewed than necessary.
I
Doesn't mean that
would-
they're inaccurate, and doesn't mean that what's being said is wrong. It's
I
just
agree.
that they're made for the people who like those games, which I think is a good thing about a review. That's how a review should work as well.
Something I've seen a lot of people saying about Elden Ring specifically is this is a good place to jump into if you're new to From Software games. And I actually don't agree with that. We can talk more about it later, but
will, yeah.
I would love for a site to say, this person loves these games and is going to review it, and this person has never played these games before and is also going to review it, and both of those reviews are going to live sort of independently of one another. I would love to see that aspect of it. And I think you do get that a lot more with podcasts. You know, like if we decide we're going to do an Elden Ring review episode, I don't know if we can be bothered to put that much time into those games.
That comes down to you two, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I'm
And-
not getting to Elden Ring till 2029, so
But I still think that's an interesting perspective to have, right? Like
Yeah.
the fixer perspective on it versus me versus Crash and,
Yeah.
and our experience with previous games and yada yada yada. So yeah, anyway.
yeah, I don't know. I no longer have. I used to get like I'll admit that I used to come on the podcast, especially as we've grown and as we've changed and things are very different. I used to get on the podcast, especially early stages of the GTA world, and feel really bad that I hadn't played this week's What's Been in Our Box. Nothing's changed for me. I used to feel bad about that, but now I'm open to the fact of like, no, I spend my time in different ways. After streaming for 8 to 12 hours, I no longer then go, now I'm going to play
Yeah.
Elden Ring for 4 hours. I don't do that. I go, oh, let's watch the Kanye documentary. Because my not commitments, but my priorities are different. I'd
Yeah.
rather spend that 4 hours with my fiance, where beyond, but back when I was 18, 19, I said Beyonce, I know. And at 18, 19, yeah, she's my Beyonce, don't watch that. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Like, I was able to do that, and I had more hours in the day. Now, every hour is spoken for, which is like wild. Even like today, Haley's comes home and says, what's for dinner? I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to do the podcast.
I think as well, you have a unique perspective in not many people have been covering Xbox in the same way that you've been covering Xbox for as long as you have.
Don't remind me.
and that does give you a unique perspective. Just because you haven't played Elden Ring doesn't mean you don't deserve to give your opinion on Xbox's business decisions. Or yeah, exactly. And so like, and look, the people who listen to this podcast every week know this, right?
Oh,
and know
100%.
that. And so,
I just thought it was an interesting conversation.
100%. And I think it's interesting as well. Like Cookie Man, I think isn't actually talking about reviewing in his question,
No,
right?
no,
Like we've
that's how
taken it that way.
because there wasn't really a
Yeah.
question in it. It was more just
Yeah,
him saying,
yeah, absolutely.
don't feel bad. We're all busy.
But
We've all got
yeah,
lives. Like, don't stress.
Yeah.
The podcast just makes it a little bit different because we do talk about games, and
Yeah.
we get messages all the time from people like, "Oh, we bought this game because you
Because of
guys
you."
said you liked it," and
Mhm.
all stuff like that, right? So it's just it puts it in a different perspective on whether you feel like finishing a game is necessary to give an opinion.
Sure.
or
I
not.
think the thing that is important to me nowadays is nowadays you will know if I love a game to that level because I'm gonna be on the podcast and I'll be like, yo, I haven't stopped playing insert video game here. And now, like once I remember playing Fallout 4 and grinding all the way through it. I was never a Fallout guy. Did I enjoy my time with it? Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with it. That doesn't mean that I loved it though, and like it like now I feel like my time's more precious. So now even more so you understand stupid things like I cannot wait for 2 Point Campus to come. I'm going to put stupid amount of hours into that game. I already know. Like because it's that type of game that I enjoy and that's it.
Yeah.
It's I no longer have time for the RPGs of the world. I no longer have time for open world games unless they're doing something new and something special and something different and the story gets me and I just don't see myself ever being that invested again in a game like that. Like Elden Ring's a different example because everyone's excited for that game and I spoke about it last week. We'll hear about Matt's opinions on it soon. I will get to it this year and I will try it out. Is it going to be for me? No. The only reason I bought it, and we all bought our copies just so people are aware, the only reason I bought it is because my brother-in-law wanted it. That's why I bought it. I didn't buy it because I wanted it. I wouldn't even play the game this year because it just isn't a me game. I was watching Wolf play it a minute ago and he was on a horse and the horse was jumping and then he jumped off a cliff and died. And he started screaming, and I was like, "No, absolutely not." Do you know what I mean? Like, no.
But it's the gamble.
You can
I think I
double
can
jump
make
with your
that
horse.
landing.
I know.
It doesn't. Fun fact, Matt. I don't know if you've done it yet, but it doesn't actually decrease the height you're falling from. So if you jump from really high while you're landing, and you're like, "Oh, I can make this because I can double jump close to the ground," it doesn't work that way.
Thank you for telling me
From
that because
software,
I
was
would
like,
have.
nope. You
I
will
would have
die.
definitely fucked that at some point.
But yeah, man.
But yeah, and going back to what Cookie Man was saying, like I totally agree with him. Like we've always talked about us hoping that Game Pass will enable developers to take more of a risk and to make shorter experiences that do something interesting. And they're the sort of games that are getting me in. Like I haven't shut up about Forgotten City and The Artful Escape, right? Both very short experiences, both really well executed games, both doing something I think relatively unique. And hopefully we see more stuff like that. And I think we will in the next 3, 4, 5 years. But it's totally fine if you jump into Forgotten City for 45 minutes, decide it's not for you and bounce out. Because Game Pass allows you to do that. I think there are positives and negatives to that ultimately, but
I'm gonna just say I think even without Game Pass, it's completely fine to do that.
of
I've been
course,
doing
of course.
that
You've
forever.
always been of the mind of this.
Yeah,
Like, you've
it's
always
like
been
I'll
okay
play a
with it.
game, and as soon as a game's like, if a game's out of sight and then it also becomes out of mind, I'm done with that game. I'm not gonna go
Guardians of the
back to it.
Galaxy. I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
I was
and it's
planning on
like
going back. Nope.
if I forget about it and then I see it and I still don't want to play it, at that point it's like,
Dude.
I have no interest in this game. It's not worth it. I'm gonna worsen my experience by going back to that game, even if I really, really enjoyed it. I could force myself to play that game, and that what would be an A or an A+ game becomes a B because I just forced myself to finish it for no reason.
I think that shift in mindset comes with age a little bit. Like if I got a game when I was 12 that I didn't like, but I got that game for my birthday,
You're playing that damn
I'm
game.
finishing that goddamn game.
You
Like,
have nothing else to play.
exactly.
At least for me
exactly.
growing up, it's like that's what you have. If you don't like it, tough luck. You're gonna play that because there's nothing else.
See, and I had the
100%.
opposite experience.
Really? Oh, because
Yeah,
the game,
because my
the
dad
game
owned
shop.
the game
shop.
shop. So it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
Dad, I don't like this game. All right, give it back to me. Pick a different one. Dad, I don't like this game. That's why I don't think I beat games, like properly beat games. I beat Resident Evil, so that didn't really count. But other than Resident Evil, I don't think I beat any video game until I was like 14, 15.
It's mad.
Because again, I had don't get me wrong, I did.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
acting like I had like a load of stuff. I didn't like, and my dad was For a man who owned a video game, he was mad stingy. I'm not gonna lie to you, lot. But like, I did have this very weird. That's what like Nintendo. I have like no affinity to Nintendo because when I had an N64, 1 week I'd have Diddy Kong Racing, 1 week I'd have Mario Kart. 1 week I'd have Smash, 1 week I wouldn't have Smash. 1 week I'd have Mario Party, 1 week I wouldn't. And then that just happened throughout my entire life, all the way till the 360. It was only the 360 I was like, no. That's what I said. That like Haley bought our Xbox One, yeah, when it first launched. That was the first ever console that came out and was bought for me that couldn't be taken away from me. Like, that's mad. Like, yeah, crazy. Let's move on because we got a lot going on. Let's jump into Fix This Sack. If you want to email in, my Xbox would be podcast@gmail.com. That's my Xbox podcast@gmail.com. Matt?
I don't know what I was doing wrong.
Matt? Matt? Do you want should we talk about it?
Wait, what? Is this why you couldn't sign in?
I don't know. So here's what happened, everybody.
Backstory.
Yeah. I streamed the first few hours of Elden Ring, right?
Did you actually
announced
stream
it? Yeah.
Oh, how did it
Shows
go?
how much attention you pay.
Dude,
Fun.
No. Can I keep it 1,000%? Like, this is not a you thing. This is a me thing, and this is bro. You know how pissed I was that you even messaged me. I was literally in bed. It weren't your fault. I understand you needed me, but I was in bed watching the Kanye documentary. My phone vibrates. I'm like, don't worry about it. Phone vibrates. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm like, who the hell is messaging me? What is going on? I look, it's Matt. I'm putting in the password right, but it's not working. So go on, story time, hit me.
Yeah, so we like announced that I was going to be doing the Elden Ring stream, and then I didn't have time to actually like test that I could get into the account and that all my OBS stuff was working and that my Elgato capture card was working and all stuff like that. So then an hour before I was supposed to go live, I was like, nothing's working and I'm panicking. Help me. Including not being able to log into the My Xbox and Me podcast at gmail.com account. Maybe we shouldn't be so exact on reading that out loud, but they'd have to guess the password, which they never will.
If they did, like, you're not winning at life, I promise.
So yeah, you gave me the password, you gave me the email. I tried it like 10 times, could not get in, and then tried it one more time, and for some reason it just worked that time.
So how was it? What was the experience like, you streaming?
It was really good fun. The people who are in there helping me out. I think they were all like subscribers anyway. Maybe a couple of new people in there. I don't really know, but I had a blast, and I think it actually really helped me out. There were a couple of very useful hints people were giving me, and I was like, did I miss a line of dialogue somewhere? How was I supposed to know to do this? And they were just like, welcome to Elden Ring. And I was like, thank God. Otherwise, I'd be totally screwed right now.
He cheating in Elden Ring. Who
I know.
I refuse to play those type of games without chat.
Yeah, man, it really helped me.
Bloodborne, all those type of games, I refuse to play it without
I think
without chat.
A very important message to anybody who's playing Elden Ring, or any Souls game ever, because I've seen a lot of people talking about like using guides and even like spells and summoning in the game. Like, play however you want. That makes the game
100%.
fun for you.
100%.
F anybody who's telling you you're playing the game wrong.
Yeah.
Like, just ignore them. Play however you want. If you getting help from people is how you want to play it, play like that.
Dude, I cheesed the whole of Sekiro, and people in my chat were like, oh, you're playing it wrong. I was like, fam, this is the most fun I've ever had. I'm standing by this wall where this witch thing can't get to, and I'm just slapping it in the head for about an hour. Loved it.
You want to know the most exhilarating feeling? When you're playing something like Elden Ring within the first week, and you have to figure out the cheeses because you can't beat the bosses. Yeah, it's a very, very enjoyable feeling to not actually beat the boss the way they're supposed to.
So yeah, there were heartbreaking moments, there were joyous moments, as with all Souls games. And the chat really helped me out, and I really appreciate it. And I think I will just do that every Monday now. I will just stream every Monday night a bit of Elden Ring. I'm not gonna not play Elden Ring to stream it. Like, I'm just gonna we're just gonna drop in wherever I am, and we're gonna run through. Because I really enjoyed it. And I'm gonna be playing it anyway. So why not hang out with the lovely people and watch it? Let them watch me play it. And like, I was right at the end of that stream, like I'm full on heartbroken.
Oh,
What happens right at the end of that stream is devastating to me.
so my big
You
question
can
is,
see it.
can we expect some streams from Crash now?
Ooh, good question.
Can we expect some co-op Elden Ring from me and
No, Crash
Crash?
doesn't play co-op. He told me he would refuse to play co-op.
When
That's
did
what
I
he
say
said.
that?
I don't know,
When did I
something
say
like
that? I'll play co-op with you, Matt.
Nah.
Yay!
Monday, I'll play co-op with you.
Elden Ring with the boys.
Elden Ring
What
with
about
the
me?
boys.
I'm not going to be there.
I guess you're not one of the boys.
Dang.
Tried to get Halo and the boys off the ground. That didn't work.
Also-
Elden Ring with the different group of boys.
If Fixer watches the sort of beginning of that stream, he'll never let me stream ever again. So let's just pray he doesn't.
No, I won't. Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't. But I'm not gonna watch because. Anyway, moving on. Based on the description from @Crash at the start of the most recent episode of My Xbox and Me, Elden Ring sounds most similar to Hollow Knight. Difficult, Souls-like, combat-focused, atmospheric world, rich with secrets and lore. If more reviews made this comparison, it would have appealed to me much more. Are Elden Ring and Hollow Knight siblings or distant cousins?
So I was gonna answer this in the Discord, but my answer would have been like, I don't know, because I didn't really play Hollow Knights.
Oh, yeah.
So I was hoping Matt could actually answer that.
Never
No.
played Hollow Knight, so I don't know.
Yeah. I tried Hollow Knights. It wasn't for me. And I don't know if it was the 2D aspect of it or whatever the case be. I just didn't really dig it. So I can't really it's unfair for me to make this comparison either way.
What I would say is it's difficult to tell here, Cookie Man, if you've played other Souls-like games. I would say that Elden Ring, and again, I'm only a couple of hours in, so maybe Crash will say I'm totally wrong, but I would say it is the kind of perfect culmination of all the Souls games that have been so far. Like, I think it encourages the stealth of Sekiro, the aggression of Bloodborne, the kind of methodical nature of Dark Souls games, combined in an open world that I think works well so far, being very shallow into it as I am. The thing I struggle with, like I said earlier, is people saying that this is a good place to jump into Souls games. I think like the linear nature of previous Souls games actually helps new players in a way that this doesn't massively. But like I say, I'm super early. Maybe I'll change my mind on that. But
I actually agree with that. I think it's really easy to get lost in the game, and I think if you expect it in a Souls game, I think you're absolutely fine with getting lost in it because you understand how Souls games work.
yeah,
But if you're like, I just want to get to the next point right now, I want to continue this story or narrative, which is
Non-existent.
Bare bones
I've not
in the
even
way.
played the game, and I know it's non-existent.
it's not non-existent. I think that's unfair to say, especially for this game. But Souls games tell their story in their own way, and a lot of it is like environmental storytelling, and you doing your. I don't know how to make it.
You can't
sound
say
not
too
like a
much.
chore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not even that.
Oh.
It's like you have to be paying attention to the surroundings as you're going through to pick up on story nods, story beats, or stuff. Because a lot of the story is what happened in the world and what's happening in the world, and that's not something the game will just tell you. It won't give it to you on a silver platter. Whether that's good for you or whether you like that or not, that's very divisive. Some people don't even realize that Souls games have a story. Some people absolutely don't care about it.
That's me. I don't understand them.
There you go.
I think I think as far as Souls games go, maybe the kind of base level story in Elden Ring at least appears to be quite easy to grasp for me very early on. But like you say, Souls is all about this world that has lived for thousands of years before you and will live thousands of years after, and you get all that by picking up items and reading item descriptions in menus and talking to NPCs over and over again and like deciphering what the hell they're on about and stuff like that, right? And so I agree with everything you just said, I think, Crash. As far as if this is Hollow Knight's sibling, I have no idea. Maybe I should play Hollow Knight.
Finish Elden Ring first.
Old game's old.
Yeah.
With Shadow Warrior 3 being the first title made available on its release date via PlayStation Now service, is this an early sign of growing influence in the console and gaming space of Game Pass? Or is this just what newcomers moving into the established space have to do? E.g., free PC games, Epic Store. Nintendo like to lead/dictate terms of the industry. Does this help/hinder the potential success of Pass in? And this is all those questions were from Original Cookie Man. I think for me, I agree with you on the old Epic having to give away free games. I think that was not only was that a smart business choice because again their competitor doesn't do it, which is Steam, but they're also competing against the likes of PlayStation Now and Xbox Live. This PlayStation Now Shadow Warrior I would consider it a move if it was a big title, but because it's Shadow Warrior 3, I think it was more a case of maybe PlayStation have finally opened up the checkbook and been like, oh, okay, you game, we will start to pay for this. It's not even this. I don't know if it's exclusive or not. PlayStation, I don't believe it is. But we'll pay for you to bring it to our service first, so we can see how that looks number-wise.
Yeah. So like they're also coming out with their own Game Pass type service. The rumors have been going crazy about it.
Yep.
This probably is just them like, we want to work out all the kinks we can for how this is going to function on our end.
Yeah.
And how we're going to deal with developers and how that conversation is going to go. I'd imagine that's what this is a part of. Also, for games to be on Game Pass when they launch and stuff like that, like you've seen it even with something like PlayStation Plus with Fall Guys and what's the other game they got really big on there? The
Rocket
car
League.
one.
Rocket League,
Rocket
but
League.
also less big was that Destruction All Stars.
Yeah. That was a PlayStation
Yeah.
5 exclusive title.
True.
When no one could get their hands on play. That I had a good time playing that game. That game would have done fine. We're even not great, but fine. Just if there was more PlayStation. They could have sold through what they had. People would have played that game 100%.
Yeah. So being on services like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus and maybe even I don't know what degree PlayStation Now, but being on those services can help your game, especially if you have a good game. Because we've seen people talk about Game Pass like, oh, our game comes on Game Pass, we still sell good numbers after that. People buy our game, so there's not necessarily a hindrance for them to do that. Maybe depending on when released to it being on Game Pass might affect it, but from what we know, it's still beneficial no matter when that happens for the most part.
Yeah. No, I just don't see this as serious competition yet. But speaking of, Sarah Squid 69 comes in with an email. It's a long one, so strap in. Sony is yet to release details on the rumored Project Spartacus, which is meant to be their version of Game Pass-like service to appeal to the current market. New information has been leaked, giving us the first look at what the program might be. There will be 3 tiers, and then there was an image that she posted. For $10 a month, Fix and Matt can convert this to British process themselves. The same price as console or PC Game Pass. You get 3 monthly games, which is basically the same as their current service of PlayStation Plus. For $13 a month, you get 3 games and a catalogue of games. How vast this catalogue will be is yet to be seen, or how it would even compare to Game Pass. For $16 a month, you would get streaming classic games and game trials for possible new first-party games. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is $15 a month, includes both PC Game Pass streaming through xCloud, EA Play, and the collection of classic Xbox and 360 games that were already included in the base subscription service. Obviously, it's unfair to compare this to what Game Pass is currently, since it's not out yet, and Game Pass has had the better of 2 years to grow and expand its service. Do you think this is a smart way to launch a competitive service to Game Pass? Not whether Spartacus will succeed or not. At the end of the day, we know the catalogue of games, but a base service level, could this compete with Game Pass? Do you feel the price they're asking for is fair for what they're offering, or do you have a suggestion for how Sony could improve the service? I'm gonna leave it there. Oh wait, I'm gonna read this last. We would like for the rivalry service to be a good be good competition. It's always good, and it make Game Pass better in the long run. Have a good one, gents. Matt, drop that email.
The email, the
Matt, what's the email?
yeah,
I don't know what that's in reference to.
You don't. What's the email?
he knows what it's in reference to.
My Xbox and me at gmail.com.
Idiot.
Max Big
Absolute
podcast at gmail.com.
flipping
Podcast at
idiot.
gmail.com.
Absolute idiot.
The panic.
The absolute idiot. So I think the big question here is, do we see? Don't worry about the content. Worry about the price, and will this be an active competitor? No, I still think it's too complicated. If I'm being totally honest,
I agree.
think the reason Game Pass worked. You got to remember, Game Pass launched just on Xbox first of all, before we even had PC and Xcloud and stuff like that. The reason that worked was because it was simplistic and it was pay said amount of money for said amount. And it used to be 100 was the title, right? For 100 plus games. And now we're probably at 200 plus games. And that was the marketing. Hit over your head, hit over your head, hit over your head. I just don't know what the marketing here is for Sony. It's pay us $16 a month to stream classic games and get trials for our new games and get third-party games. And I don't like where the message is.
Yeah, I agree. So go on, Crash.
To be fair,
They
they haven't given their messaging. True. Yeah. But I agree with you. Like with all if this ends up being like the plethora of services, it's going to be very confusing on how they will sell that to people.
Well, how can you compete with the $1?
Yeah, no matter what PlayStation does, and they could do anything. The only thing they could do is day one our first party games.
100%.
If that doesn't happen, there's nothing PlayStation can do in the beginning to compete with Xbox.
Great.
Game Pass has been out for how long? Like, I don't know if people remember how Game Pass was when it first came out.
No first parties.
I don't know if exactly. I don't know if I could have made a big argument for people to have Game Pass then. I think it was a
I
good
remember when I had it at first, and I was like, "This is good," but
there's
cool.
nothing. There's no big.
I remember
big
Payday
titles,
2 was on there, and a few other like old games, and I was like, "Okay."
Gears of War 4 was the first big one, right? The first time a game launched with it, or was it Sea of Thieves?
No, I think Gears was first, right? Before Sea of Thieves?
Was Gears 4 before Sea of Thieves?
You'd have to fact check it, but I don't know. But yeah, I remember Gears being like the first one, because I remember the reason I remember this is gonna sound weird, but so stick with me. I remember like getting a review copy for for that game or Sea of Thieves and being like, man, I finally got a review copy from Xbox, but I was gonna get it for free anyway. Typical, you know.
For free.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, great.
Interesting.
Do you know what? I've got a phone call from somebody. That's why. So that confused me. Go on,
Got it.
Okay. I think they should really heavily, and this is providing that this service is as good as people are hoping it will be, really heavily lean into the backwards compatibility nature of this. And the fact that you're going to be able to you're going to be able to stream classic games. Okay. However that functionality works, that's what they should be leaning into heavily, because you're right. They're not going to do their first party games. They're not going to do Spider-Man 2 and God of War 2, and none of that's going to happen. So they need to lean really heavily into their back catalog and their nostalgia and those kinds of things. And I still don't know if that's enough.
Look, it is enough, because you're going to get schmucks like me that want to play Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to pay the £16 a month to play it.
I think the important question, because it's not backwards compatible, is will Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 be on it? I think the third-party support for the service will be, if they go into the, here's all these classics that we have, are they going to get that third-party support? I could see Capcom, 100%. I could see Resident Evil being on that for sure. But it's like, how much does that go? Because Crash Bandicoot, I don't know who actually owns the old ones, right? At this point in time,
I would have thought it's Activision.
But do they own? Yeah. But do they own? Because with old titles, it's always weird with like the original copies and the original versions of those games, that I don't know how that ownage would go. I don't know if it's Activision. I don't know if they made a deal with Sony way back in the day because they clearly own the IP and they were able to do the remake and all that stuff and put it on other platforms
think
with
it's
the
Activision.
original version. Probably Activision, right?
Which is weird.
So it's like, will Microsoft? Well,
Microsoft
depending on when the service comes out. Yeah, yeah. Will
that's
they
the
be able
case.
to get the? Yeah, will they be able to get the okay from them? And I think,
Yes,
completely honest, I think Microsoft would be fine with it.
100%.
I don't think Microsoft would say no to that. I think Microsoft would be like, sure, you can put it on your service. We don't have an issue with that.
Well, they're
right?
not doing nothing with it. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's about making money with it.
And that,
Anything we've spoken about this before. Free tiers don't work. And if I don't like free trials, I think they're dumb. It worked with EA Play because of the type of games that they were putting out. Give me 10 hours trial of FIFA all day long. Give me 10-hour trials of Madden all day long. But I don't want a 3-hour trial of Horizon.
So I have a question. What if the first tier, because I've seen people saying that it's going to combine with PlayStation Plus and stuff like that. What if the first tier is PlayStation Plus and they have, it'd be so easy if they had just one additional tier over that, but it's two different tiers.
Oh,
no.
you're saying so PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, so it's
PlayStation,
like PlayStation Plus
experience,
and then
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be an easier sell.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the two different tiers just confuses it.
Yeah, I agree. And go back to what you were saying about trials. Fix. I don't think. I don't know. I would love to see the numbers on how many people use those EA Play trials. I bet it's nothing.
FIFA's
I bet it's so low.
FIFA's
Do you think?
Loads. Oh, FIFA's loads.
If you're playing FIFA for 10 hours, you're buying FIFA.
Yeah, but you're starting your own team 10 hours early.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. The early access thing is a bit different.
Well, that's what we're talking about. That's what it is. That's literally what you're talking about.
Well, I got 10 hours free of Battlefield, and I didn't use it. I downloaded Battlefield. I had every intention of using it, and I didn't.
We also don't know if those trials are going to be early access.
No, but
I assume not.
They don't have to. I don't think they will either. But I don't think they have to be. I just don't see the appeal of play Spider-Man 2 for 2 hours.
I agree.
Horizon Forbidden West for 2 hours. I don't see the appeal. That to me is just a crappy marketing tool of like, we want you to buy said game. It's like, well, your competitor, which is Xbox, are giving us the full game. I don't want the 2 hours, even if it's 5 hours.
I think you guys are missing what Sony's going for with this. Clearly, Sony wants the classic experience. Yes. They're giving you the classics and they're giving you demos back. You guys wanted demos back. Sony's going for it.
They're going to ship them to you on discs as well. Yeah.
In magazines.
This PS5, screw you. Don't care.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, so I think I agree with everything you guys have said. 3 tiers is too many. I think in the marketing for this, they lean really heavily on the classic game collection. But I do worry that
we finally did it. PlayStation can now play PlayStation 2 games via streaming.
What do people want from that? That they can't already play? The bouncer? Do you think that's what people want from that?
Would it be streaming in this case?
Maybe. I think
I don't, with like all the rumors, I don't perceive it as being streaming.
Oh, sorry. Is that what no. You'll be able to download them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Sorry.
it.
Okay. Sorry, no, it won't be a streaming thing. You'll be able to download them.
Yeah, I would. I'm struggling to see what in the PlayStation Black catalog would get people really excited for this.
Yeah, but are you a PlayStation fan like that?
I think there's plenty of games.
Yeah.
I think, like, if you're looking at the PS1 era, there's so many games that just came out on the PS1. There's so many games that just came out on the PS2.
That's the
point.
Like, there's so many games we can't
A lot
get
of them
to.
are third parties. Yeah, for people who are like gaming historians or whatever you'd want to call it, people who are super into those older games. Like, a feature like this would be great for them.
Yeah.
But the question is, like, again, how many of those third parties are going to be willing to put their games on it? Will Square Enix put some of their old RPGs on it? I'm sure they will.
Yes, they will.
That would be huge. But that's everywhere already.
Yeah, exactly. That's everywhere already. And I agree that a lot of there are some of those people, but there's not a big group of people. And I'm struggling to think of the games that people would really give a shit about. Tomb Raider 1 maybe, but they've released that on mobile. You can get that anywhere.
Tomb Raider 1?
Well, I'm just thinking of like iconic PlayStation
Dino
games.
Crisis. Time Crisis.
I wouldn't put Dino Crisis up there. I don't know. I don't think people don't know Dino Crisis in the same way they know Tomb Raider. Like,
That's
or Spyro or Crash or there's no way.
Dino Crisis. People care. People bloody care.
People,
I care.
Can I vent for 1 second?
Yeah, please.
All the people that care about Dino Crisis don't care about Dino Crisis. It's all a lie. It's all fake. It's a Mandela effect. They're misremembering it. It's gotta be.
I played Dino Crisis 2 recently, and it ain't good.
Top game.
It ain't good.
It is, though. It's a top game.
It's absolutely
It's as
not.
good.
You know what the problem
as-
is? Dino Crisis 3. That's where it went to shit. Let me tell you. Bad game. Bad. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we've answered your question, Sarah. We've kind of just rambled, but that's kind of what we do. But yeah, no, I'm not for it. I'm not for it. But that's easy for me to say in my ivory tower of I get every new game. I feel like we're missing. There's something we're missing. We are missing something in this conversation that we're not touching on. Which is, I don't know if it is like Crash said or Matt said about the plethora of the titles being third party. I don't know if it's the. I do think there's a market out there for a lot of lost titles that we cannot get hold of right now without emulating them, which is illegal. You cannot get hold of some of these titles anymore. And if PlayStation are doing the work to get those, and like I say, when they come out with this catalog, it's going to need to be big. For me to be paying this type of money, it's going to need to be big.
100%. And I don't think it will be.
I don't want the promise of more.
So what if it's your place, like for people who do the PlayStation Plus, what if it's an added fee on top of that? So instead of it being like, hey, here you have to pay $13 for this service, it's a $3 service because you're already paying for PlayStation
That's
Plus.
how they're gonna market it. That's how they're gonna market it. 100%.
Yeah. That's the thing with like the whole PlayStation, whatever service they do. The thing for me is like I can't really judge it as is because I don't know how they're marketing it. I don't know what their focus
That's
is.
how they're marketing it.
If they're like, if it's only classics and that's what they're marketing, like that's cool. I might subscribe to it for a month or two. I'm absolutely fine, and I know and understand what that is. But if their goal is like, oh, it's going to be for new games, and then they're sort of like Xbox in the beginning, it's like I'll subscribe to it when they have something I care about. Until then, like I'm cool with it. I don't need it. I have Game Pass.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something really interesting as well, Fix, where you said like the promise of more isn't enough.
No.
But if you're going to launch this service and bank on classics, and you're going to launch with the big hitters, everything in there, how many people subscribe for 3 months because there's nothing else coming? Yep. And they know there's nothing else coming because you've already loaded the system with everything.
Yeah, no, I think Crash has hit the nail on the head. That's how they market it, which is they can't compete with the $1, but they can compete with the $3. What do you mean $3? It's now get PlayStation Classics for only $3 more on top of your PlayStation Plus subscription. That's an easy sell. That to me is an easy sell. Easy. I'll pay what, $3 extra, and I get a plethora of new games and more games coming. Yeah, sure. But the idea of £16 a month, hell no. But $3 a month extra, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it'll be interesting to see it in the marketing of this if they push stuff like the original God of War and other stuff like that really heavily, because PS Plus subscribers already get all that on PS5. They get their PS Plus collection thing, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if a lot of people know that they get that.
That's
not the classics.
No, I know, but I think they still push. Oh, sorry, I said original God of War. I didn't mean that. I meant 2018 God of War. I meant 2018 God of War. I still think they put that front and center as like,
of course,
look what's on the service. It's like that was always there. Yeah.
I got you. Well, we were mad long on that, Sarah. Thank you very much for the question. I appreciate it. We'll do this next. Oh, Jesus crumbs, bro.
I was fixing getting a text.
No, it's more. I'm reading this. I'm reading this email where I'm like, damn, this is a long email, Zygo. I don't want to do that one this week. Let's not do that one this week. I want to do Mr. Mitch's question, which says, how do you feel about the narrative of, quote, I'm so glad I didn't buy X because it's on Game Pass? I feel for developers at Eidos Montreal who had to hear that narrative this week, paired with the fact that that's the great game they made failed to meet sales expectations. How do I feel? Matt, how do you feel? This is you. This is you game. You care about this game a lot. How do you feel?
For more context, Guardians of the Galaxy is coming to Game Pass, which I didn't know when I read Mr. Mitch's question. I was like, what does this mean, guys? And you were like, it's coming to Game Pass. I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I was kind of heartbroken to learn that it didn't meet sales expectations because I loved Guardians of the Galaxy, as everybody knows. And as I always say, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a massive Marvel fanboy and I love everything. But yeah, I loved Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's a shame that it didn't meet sales expectations. I didn't hear a massive amount of people at the time saying, I'm not going to buy it because it's going to come to Game Pass. It surprised me that it's coming to Game Pass. And so I think I've heard that narrative around other games. Death's Door was a big one, and a couple other stuff like that. Hades may be a bad example. But I hear it more with like indie games than I did for like Guardians of the Galaxy, which I feel like people were, it was in Game of the Year discussions everywhere, right? And stuff like that. I think it's ultimately a good thing that it's coming to Game Pass and that more people will get to play it. And, it can reach that wider audience, like kids who love Marvel, who can't persuade their parents to drop $70 on it, but they have Game Pass. Great. Now they can play it and they're going to rave about it. So I think ultimately it's a good thing for Guardians of the Galaxy. I think there's definitely an argument to be made that it's a dangerous thought process. I'm not sure if dangerous is the right word there, but it's something I've heard, and it is a shame, I think.
I think that I'm so glad I didn't buy X game because it's coming to Game Pass. It's a very personal thing. I don't think it's a commentary on the game. It's more so I'm thankful I didn't put my money into the game because people have a limited amount of resources.
Yeah.
Maybe like if they had gotten Guardians of the Galaxy, they could have got the other game that they ended up getting instead. And it works out. They get to play both games. I don't necessarily take that as a negative. I understand where people could perceive it. And I know you mentioned indie games, but the conversation with indie games is I'm not going to buy that game because it's coming to Game Pass. This is a past tense. And I think the perspective's slightly different, but it's an important distinction to make between the two, I feel like. Where one is for sure toxic, the one I see that game, but that's like a Game Pass game. And I do that as well. I'm not even going to talk about it. Like, I don't do that. Like, oh, that looks like a cool game. If it comes to Game Pass, I'll play it. Right. And I do think there are issues with that. And in general, I think there are people who look at Game Pass and they won't necessarily buy a game or whatever, even if they really enjoy it. And I do think to some degree, you should support a game in some sort of way if you can, be it buying a microtransaction or whatever the case is with the game. I'm not saying you have to work within your means if you can to support a game, to show them that you really do enjoy it, but I don't think you need to, because you have to remember the deal to get the game on Game Pass. That doesn't happen for free. Money's exchanged for that to happen. So.
Oh, wow. Multi-com, I don't care. Bruv, you didn't meet the sales expectations. You know why you didn't meet the sales expectation? Because you didn't market it that good. You know why the marketing didn't work that well? Because there was another game that came out that was trash around Marvel. And that was always going to be the case. I'm not going to sit here and feel bad for multi-billion, million-dollar companies. I'm sorry. I'm not. It's not going to happen. No, I don't feel any type of way. Bruv, you lot don't... I'll tell you this right now. You lot don't understand what it must be like growing up in the ends if you're feeling any type of way. Bro, my mum couldn't scratch 2 pennies together to buy me video games. So, damn straight, I feel good this game's coming to Game Pass. And some kid in the hood who loves bloody Guardians of the Galaxy is now going to get to play the game because their mum couldn't. You're thinking about it on the, we're all grown men sat here and we earn wages and we can pay out and da-da-da. Bruv, I'm not worried. Do they still have jobs? Yes, they still have jobs. Are they going to get another crack at another game? Yeah, they are. Did some people probably lose their jobs? Yeah, that's business. But no, you're not going to catch me sat here talking about, oh man, it sucks that someone didn't buy the game because they thought it was coming to Game Pass. Bruv, we're in a pandemic still. You lot forgetting that? World War III might be happening. You lot forgetting that? Like, bro, we're worrying about billion-dollar companies. You know what happens when Square Enix miss their sales projections for many years. Microsoft will go buy them, or Sony will go buy them, or Amazon will go buy them, or Google will go buy them. No, I'm not worried about they missed their sales expectations, and no, I'm not worried about the fact that someone will say they're not buying the game because it's coming to Game Pass, because you don't know that person's circumstance. We are all not built with silver spoons in our mouth, and we are all not in the same privileged positions, and we don't all earn the same, and you don't know what people are going through. Stop worrying about what Twitter's saying about a situation, and then apply it to actual real-world situations. There are people out there who love gaming. There are people out there who cannot afford to game. They can't afford it. It's not accessible to them. Game Pass then makes it accessible for them, and they get to play not only the biggest games in the world, day one when it comes to Xbox's first party, but they also get to, like Chris just said, Square didn't do this for free. They got paid to do this. It didn't just get added to Game Pass out the goodness of their heart to get more players. They got paid. So no, I'm not losing no sleep, let me tell you.
Yeah. And if Eidos Montreal gets the bad end of that stick, that's on Square Enix.
That's Square as a company,
their
bro.
relationship with them, and that's not on.
That's not on the.
It's also a $60 game. It's like
you can't put it on the consumer.
$60 is a lot of money.
You cannot put this on the consumer. You know, if a game comes out that you care about, like Chris said, support it. Dude, I love NoPixel. Absolutely love it. I pay him $100 a month to play in NoPixel. That's how much it cost me for Priority. So if it disappeared, at least I could say, well, I tried. I supported it. But what? So I should make someone feel bad because they don't pay for Priority to get in? No, they can't afford it. It's the same thing, but we're all talking about on a different level because this is Square Enix. They've got money. Nah, bro, I'm not gonna sit on this podcast and say I'm worried about it. Like I say, when it comes to jobs and things like that, all day long. But no, you're not gonna shame, because that's what we're doing now. We're shaming people for them saying, oh, they waited and now the game didn't do well and now we will never get a sequel. Bro, you don't know people's circumstances. You don't know it.
If people didn't buy the game doesn't get a sequel, it's because people didn't buy it. You can spin whatever narrative you want on it. It's you didn't market it good enough, your game just wasn't good enough.
Bro, this game was always gonna do bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
why do you think that?
Because
Square Enix and Marvel.
Coming off the back of the last Avengers game. Not Guardians. I love Guardians. We all love Guardians. Guardians are still B tier. They're B tier compared to Iron Man and the other characters that we got in the Avengers game. And I know what you're thinking is like, but they're totally different games. The everyday consumer doesn't know that though. They don't understand that to that same level.
I agree. The everyday consumer doesn't know that they're both Square games. That they're anyway related.
Yeah. No, they do.
I struggle to believe.
They do.
No, what?
They know that they are Marvel properties. Period.
Sure.
Done. Not Square. I agree with you on
100%.
Square on the publisher and the developer side of things.
But
you
nobody
know,
thinks-
you know that FIFA is FIFA every year.
Nobody thinks Spider-Man 2 is going to suck because Avengers sucked.
No.
Spider-Man 2 is a PlayStation game. Marvel is not a PlayStation. I was gonna say Suicide Squad. Guardians of the Galaxy is not a PlayStation game. Avengers is not a PlayStation game.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. I think.
Yeah, but think about
I think people were wary going into this game. I think some people didn't like the looks of the characters. I think some people.
I agree with
the
that.
Gameplay looks
I agree with
boring.
that.
I think there was a lot of gripes.
We were
people
all
had
surprised that the
going into it.
story's good. We're surprised by
Yeah.
that. Not that we are all going into Spider-Man 3 knowing that the story's going to be at least good. 2?
Oh, you know. Miles Morales.
Oh, Miles Morales is not 2. No, you're right. Spider-Man 2.
I think they're calling it.
Yeah,
They're
2.
calling it
You're
Spider-Man
right.
2.
You're right. We're all going into Spider-Man 2. Screw Spider-Man. We're all going into Gears of War, the next Gears of War game, expecting a good story at least. Whether it is or not, we're expecting a good story. Do you know why? Because what has become before it has been a good story. I get what you're saying, where it's like, unfortunately, Marvel is Marvel. This isn't Marvel films. We know that MCU films going to be dope. Even now, we're going to start getting it with Morpheus and Venom, and we still look at some people don't even know they're not in the MCU, or they are in the MCU, or whatever the bloody hell is going on right now. You know, like people are treating it the same way, which is like, I didn't like that thing, so I probably won't like this thing. That's as simple as it is.
Also with Spider-Man, Spider-Man's like
Spider-Man.
as big as the Avengers are, Spider-Man's bigger than them.
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
no, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't think it's necessarily a fair comparison to make.
Batman's really good as well, just so you're all aware. That's all I'm gonna say.
From IGN.
That's all I'm saying.
I didn't even put it together. I know you went to the premiere, but I didn't put together that you'd seen the film for some reason, like a
The
fucking
Batman.
muppet.
I've seen it.
Oh my god, it's good.
Say something and I'll spoil it all for you. I won't.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I signed paperwork.
I will leave this call
I
right away.
I signed paperwork saying I wouldn't do that. Don't worry.
Podcast
No
real
stress.
quick.
No stress,
I'm gonna go
no
to the movies to see that. Fun fact.
You are. Congratulations.
Mm.
Sorry, I hope I didn't come off too brash and like aggressive.
I think
there.
it's a good perspective.
But I just bro. Like we're some people got too much money and sense out here to be worrying about $1 billion, $1 million companies and their feelings. Like, no, stop it. That's just my 2 cents.
What I would say is, as big as that team is, and like you say, like this $1 billion company, you can tell that there's a certain level of like love and care put into that game and those
100%.
characters. And there are people on that team who really give a fuck about the
100%.
Guardians of the Galaxy, and so I'm much more excited to see a Guardians of the Galaxy 2 if it gets enough people to play it on Game Pass and then it gets sort of lifted up and then. Do you really think not?
No way.
Oh man, that makes me sad.
Yeah, sorry. No
You
way
make
that
me
gets,
sad.
No way that gets a sequel.
I think there's a possibility that team works on a different game, a different Marvel game.
Oh yeah.
I think with how well received it was, but I don't think a Guardians of the Galaxy game. Because if it didn't meet sales expectations and they had to go to Game Pass,
but who
the
do you
Game Pass
do?
Deal
Like-
should have been the Game Pass deal should have been like the cherry on top with the whole how much they sold and everything. Where here it's probably to match what they wanted out of what they were perceiving they would get from the game or whatever.
This is my thing. They didn't negotiate a crap contract on this. They negotiated enough money to make it worth their while to probably break even. We're now going to complain to people for breaking even. Just saying, give it some thought. I'm just saying, give it some thought. We're gonna leave the questions for there, and we'll jump into what's been in our box. But before we do so, Chris, can you check the reviews over on the My Xbox and Me podcast app? I don't actually know where we sit right now. We've got no new ones in the UK, so
Come on, UK
you guys
people.
are letting us down. We're sitting at a 4.8 out of 5 in the UK currently.
And you know what? If you're in the US, get your VPN on. Drop a little UK review through the VPN.
No.
Don't do
I
that.
want the review. I want to read the review. Fix doesn't need the review.
All right, then, if
Exactly.
you're anywhere
there's a
that
new-
isn't the
a new
US.
review.
There's a new review.
Oh, you got one.
There's a new review. Headline: fantastic.
Ah.
5 stars.
Mm.
Yeah.
TDWP Heart. It's like the lowercase than a 3.
Okay.
My Xbox Me is a stellar podcast that made quick work of getting into my regular rotation of podcasts.
Yeah.
The host's chemistry, humor, and enthusiasm make this podcast a clear standout in the podcast space. One of the greatest things about the show is that it posts on Sundays.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
That's whoa.
Whoa.
Just to clear that up, that's because I'm doing it wrong. It's meant to be out on Fridays. Oof.
So when you've gone through the weekly shows and want to listen to something new on the weekends, Fix is here to save the day.
Yo, that's
Also
me.
have to
That's
show
me.
appreciation for Fix's dedication. He is not afraid to record on Christmas or do a one-man show just to make it happen.
Straight.
Damn straight.
Shout out.
Damn
Shout
straight.
out. Thank you. For the
Shout out
review.
me.
5 stars.
Thank you, Crash. Thank you.
Not
By
you,
the time I
Fix.
started getting some. By the time I started getting my
I was going to
props.
say the person's name, but it just says TWP.
Shout
I
out
feel like that stands for
TWP.
something.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Do you know what I forgot to do on the podcast this week? Last week. I want to give a
What
little
you forget
shout
to
out to somebody who's a long-time listener. Long-time listener. You know who I'm talking about, Chris, right? Do you? No? Maybe not.
No, I don't think so.
Little Smitty. He's listened to this podcast for many, many years. I don't know if he's listening still or not, but he was the first person to ever send me a photo of him listening to the podcast like out of the country. Him and his beautiful wife are expecting their second child. So a
Ooh,
big
congrats.
congratulations to Lil Smitty. You are an absolute legend. You've been supporting me for many, many years, and you've been a big, big, big fan of this podcast. So I hope you're still listening. Please let us know in the emails if you are. And if not, well, I still appreciate it. So keep being amazing. Keep being amazing. All right, what's in our box? Let's get through it before we get out of here. What you been playing, Matt P? Elden Ring. Talk to me, baby.
Obviously, the Elden Ring. I have only put the 2 hours into it that I streamed, 2.5 hours that I streamed on the My Xbox Me YouTube channel. So if you want to see exactly what I think of Elden Ring as it's happening, then go to the My Xbox Me YouTube channel and check out the stream, or join me next Monday where I'll be streaming even more Elden Ring. But I will have played some between this Monday, next Monday. This coming Monday? How do you say that?
This Monday.
It'd be the next Monday.
Oh, this Monday coming.
Yeah. Which is the next Monday.
Well, it's not the next Monday. It's
this Monday already happened.
No.
This Monday happened.
How about this? Every Monday until I get bored.
Until you're done.
Or until I'm done, or until you guys get bored.
Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's yeah, I'm a big Souls fan anyway. And yeah, it's scratching that itch for sure. Deathly hard, and the world I think is interesting. Like I said, I think the story, the kind of baseline story of what you're trying to achieve is actually relatively well laid out for a Souls game. And so I'm on board, and I'm holding on tight for the ride of my life.
Crash, you were 20 hours in last time we spoke. Where are we looking at now?
20
boo.
plus hours in. I played. I just don't know how much deeper I am into
Put a solid 20 minutes into it.
I put 20 minutes since I last played. My thoughts are pretty much the same. I'm loving the game. I think it's fantastic. I think it is the best Souls experience. I think I've doubled down on that statement so far. Mind you, I don't view Sekiro and Bloodborne Souls experiences, but that's a conversation for a different day. Bloodborne, I think you can make the argument. Sekiro, I don't think so.
I agree with that. Do I? I don't know.
But yeah, it's really good. I really enjoy it. I think I will agree with what Matt said as well. It is, just to reiterate, I don't think this should be person's first Souls game necessarily, unless you've liked them and you've enjoyed them, but the pacing felt weird. I feel like this could alleviate that for you if you enjoyed the idea of it, but you didn't like the pacing of it. I think the free roam option is cool, but I've seen a lot of people, this being the first Souls game you jump into, and I think that can be kind of more punishing in a weird way. I've seen some people say they don't like not knowing where to go, and the game is very vague with where you should go. It's really what's the game everybody's comparing it to?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, and that idea that they just put you in the world and you go wherever you want.
Right? I'm gonna hate this game.
At least Breath of the Wild forces you to do a tutorial. I skipped the tutorial for Elden Ring, which is fine for me because I've played Souls games before.
Look, Souls games are hard, and it's teaching you your first lesson. Be an inquisitive person. You see something down there, jump for the shiny thing, because you have opportunity to look down there. There's a ghost you talk to, and the ghost says,
I've played Souls games before. I know not to trust people falling down holes. That's what I know.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, a lot of people actually didn't do that. Apparently, it's a really, really big deal.
I went back to it later thinking like, okay, now I'm up for it. And I was like, oh, now I'm in the tutorial after an hour and a half or whatever.
I'll be honest, the tutorial doesn't really prepare you for anything because it's really, really easy. Like, really, really easy.
Sure.
I'm not going to like this game.
I don't think so.
It sounds like everything I hate.
Yeah, I don't think this is a U game.
It's hard. It's open. It's long. Doesn't have any story that's in your face and understandable. And there's lots of text. It sounds like hell.
Yeah, I don't think it's your type of game, to be honest.
If you weren't talking about Elden Ring then, you could have been talking about Resident Evil.
Absolutely not.
Ooh, that's a good point. Wow, Elden Ring's just a bigger scale Resident Evil.
It's just a fantasy Resident Evil. That's what we've
Resident
learned here
Evil
today.
has story.
That's actually not wrong.
Yeah, story that you read via notes.
Do you know we've spoken about this before? I hadn't read the notes until I got with Haley. I was 18. I was 18.
That is mad.
Mad. That's beyond mad.
You'll love. I was gonna call it Dark Souls.
Elden
Ring story. You'll love it. It's fantastic.
But this is why I get myself in trouble though, because I'll play a game like this, and I'll be like, "There's no story," and then people will be like, "You're a fucking idiot." And I'm like, "Yes, I am."
There is story. It's just you have to. It has to be a type of you story. You have to enjoy being inquisitive about it. You have to want to know what the story is.
Do you know how inquisitive I am?
Story's non-existent.
Do you know how inquisitive I am?
You're not inquisitive at all.
I don't even know what the word inquisitive means. That's how inquisitive I am.
That's fair.
I don't know how to explain it. It's just a word. You have
Words
to be,
literally have
a
meanings.
sense of wonder. A sense of wonder.
Bro, I play role play. I've got a sense of wonder.
No, you don't. So you're telling me you don't plan out what your story is going to be before it happens?
No.
You don't go, I want my character to go in this direction and then work towards that direction happening.
Okay, yeah.
You're removing part of the wonder right away. It's not like, I wonder what's going to happen to my character today.
Yeah, I can't do that, bro. I don't have the time for that anymore.
I think as
That's
well,
fair.
like,
Yeah.
I feel like Elden Ring punishes you for not being inquisitive and not exploring. Like, Elden Ring, like, it's like, hey, open world, this is new for Souls games, right? But we're going to show you a literal golden path. If you follow that path,
You're in trouble.
you're in trouble. Yeah. Basically, like, you just don't stand a chance. So then I think that is its way of forcing you to interact with the world more. But it also feels like a massive roadblock to be like,
It's an
an open world game, but yeah, try it.
Yeah.
No, it just
But-
it sounds like to me it sounds like if you're somebody who's got time on your hands and you ain't got you ain't got other commitments. I'm about to say you ain't got a life. That's not fair. You haven't got other commitments. This could be your game for a while, and you can just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Every minute of every second and every crescent of it. I know that word, Kresh. I don't know inquisitive, but I know crescent. I think that's how you say it. Crescent?
Crevice?
Crevice.
Crevice.
Fuck! God
I was
damn
gonna
it!
let you have it until you
God damn it!
until you doubted yourself. I was gonna let you have it. I was
God
gonna
damn it!
correct you.
I tried so hard. Yeah.
To be fair, I've already like started going like, oh, I could really start a new playthrough and do a different type of character in this. I've immediately done that. You can. I don't remember if you can do it in the other Souls games. I know in the early ones you can't. You can respec your character after a certain point in this one.
You can in Elden Ring.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You'll be like around level 50 when you get to that point. So it's like
I can't remember that being in
I can't
Souls
either,
games
but
before,
my
but
memories
it
could
wouldn't
just be
surprise me if
bad.
it was. It wouldn't surprise me if it was.
It could also be just some sort of like obtuse thing all the way in the corner that you might not interact with. But yeah, this one is like pretty on the main path when you come into it, and so I respect my character right away. I was like, I've seen all these cool magic and faith stuff that you can do, and I was like, I'm respecting my character because I want Vagabond to start off with, and I was like, I'm gonna be a knighty boy, and I always go. In this game, I was like, I'm gonna be a spell sword type of character. I'm gonna use a sword and magic, and I want Vagabond. Every time I play a Souls game, I go knight, and immediately I do this. I'm like, I regret my decision so much. I should have went harder into the magic.
I'm the same, and so yeah, I went for the I can't remember what it's called, the faith one, the mixture of faith and dexterity.
Was it the astrologist or is that a different?
No, different one. It doesn't matter anyway. But yes, I agree with you that I am already thinking about like, ooh, which should I play next, and which should I go for next, and which weapon should I go for next, and yada yada. In my next playthrough. What I would say is if you are brand new Souls games and you are going to try Elden Ring, I would keep it simple, and probably go for a classic sort of warrior, hitty big sword character.
I think Vagabond's a good character to start with.
I agree.
Hey, don't stop on my record. I like the fact you're nerd. I just don't understand the words you're fucking saying.
Get on it, Fixed. Come on. Me and Crash will jump in with you.
Bro. I would.
I'll help you beat every single boss in that game.
I would, yeah, but there's a problem with that.
He don't got the time.
Bro, if you watch I know this is my Xbox me, but if you watch the Kanye doc, Crash.
No. I don't like documentaries.
No, dude, this is a different level, bro. This is. Oh, I'm gonna talk to you off the podcast. This is mad. It's mad.
Okay.
I know. It's mad.
Okay.
We're skipping
Your
news
word for it.
because I'll be honest with you, don't want to do it.
Oh,
and
can we just do the first story?
You just want to take the piss that Skull and Bones is like, a bat. That's all you want to
It's
do.
still coming out.
Ubisoft says Avatar, Skull and Bones, and other games are set to release in April 2023. Sounds like an April Fool's joke. Skull and Bones, they don't exist anymore.
It definitely does exist, and it's gonna come out, and nobody's gonna play it.
And then people are gonna send us emails saying, "Oh, do you feel bad because they worked really hard on it for many, many years and no one
Straight
bought
to Game
it?"
Pass.
Bro, don't be shocked.
Straight
That
to
would make
PlayStation
sense.
Now
To
Plus.
be fair, I think Mitch was referring to the individual people at EDOS Montreal
No, but I don't care.
who worked in the game.
Fix don't care.
No, but you can't do that because you can't say that. I agree with you that may be his attention, but as soon as you put a monetary value to that, you can't do that. You can't make me feel bad because I don't want to spend my money.
I'm not trying to make you feel bad.
To be
No, not you, but I'm saying people.
Okay.
Yeah, but to be fair, Mitch's point was like people being vocal about it, not that people do it.
Bro, Mitch lives in Canada near America.
I don't disagree.
Freedom
with
of speech. That's all you lot tell me. We
I
got
don't
freedom of
disagree with
speech.
you.
We got freedom of speech. You guys don't have freedom of
Questionable
speech.
sometimes.
Like, bro, you can't use that excuse against me. Bun them.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just trying to defend them a little
Bro,
bit.
I've got developer friends. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's not like I don't have
Yeah.
friends that are developers, but they wouldn't make me feel guilty for not spending my money on their game. So I'm not gonna let
Yeah.
somebody else make me feel guilty when you're not in a position to. Skull and Bones is gonna come out. It's gonna fail. We all know that. It's 1,000%. I'm
What if
sorry.
it's amazing?
That doesn't, bro. I'd be shocked. I don't even think if it got 10s it would matter. I
Yeah.
still don't think people would care.
I don't think people care about that ship combat at this point. The time for that to release was
Was when Black
after
Flag
Black
came
Flag.
out. Like,
When they announced it.
bro, it's
people
I
don't
just
people don't want that at this
people
point.
don't care. I think,
Yeah.
but the problem is they're at that point, aren't they? Where it's like we've already put too much into this to not release it. So
It must
Can-
be. Well, I don't know. I was
Go
going
on.
to say it must be a wildly different game to what we've seen previous, but I don't even necessarily think that's true.
The only
Absolutely.
way I would care about Skull and Bones is if they go back and they're like, here we're gonna make a spiritual successor to Black Flags that's not set in the Assassin's Creed universe. That is
Crash?
the only way
that's what
I
it's
care
going to
about
be.
it.
I guarantee you.
No
it is
way.
I guarantee you, it is a
A
Assassin's
pirate
Creed
game.
original, like like the original Assassin's Creed. I could see
Yeah.
they've gone. Okay, what do we do? All right, people been bitching that we don't have enough stealth. Let's give them a stealth game at this point, and we still got our ships and stuff. I can 100% see it being that. 100%.
I'd be super down. I
But
don't think
you'd
it's
be
that.
super down, but it still
Oh.
won't be good.
Oh, look,
Pizza bet.
it's-
It don't get more than a
I'm not
7.
making pizza bet on it. being
Pizza
good.
bet. It don't
I
get
don't,
more
I
than
don't
a
make pizza
7.
bet on game scores. Not gonna make pizza bet on game scores.
It don't get more than a 7 on
I think
IGN.
it's
Pizza bet.
mean-hearted.
I get that. We've talked about this before of like
Yeah.
making a pizza bet that something is bad feels
No,
in bad
no.
faith.
I didn't say bad. 7
You say it doesn't get sevens.
doesn't get more than a 7.
He said more than a 7. That's fair.
On what?
But you also said it's not
IGN.
good.
I don't even know who's reviewing it. That's who I'm going with.
I would make a pizza bet that it's not a third-person action adventure game
I bet.
because it's not, right? Like what
I
they've
bet.
shown so far of it is it's ship combat.
Wait,
right?
I bet.
wait.
I don't have
take the
any.
bet.
I don't have any inside knowledge at all.
Okay, I reword it in a way that's not third-person action adventure game because technically a boat game, a game where you ride a ship
It's
or you're
third person.
controlling a ship,
yes.
is a
No,
third-person
no.
action
We're
adventure
speaking
game.
literally.
I'm just saying.
He's not wrong.
Of technicality.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
You do not control an individual person in that game.
Yes, I bet. Deal. Pizza bet.
I think it's a ship game. It's a ship game.
It's not.
They're gonna give you a
not.
captain to customize.
I swear
Yeah,
the
probably.
last trailer they
Control
put
the whole
out
time.
showed like people walking around on the ship. And you
Yeah,
controlling them.
They showed people on the ship, yes, because it's a ship game, and people need to be on the ship to shoot cannons.
Oh yeah. Not
If
100.
this game comes
this-
to Game Pass Day 1, can we all play it together?
If it's co-op, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Bro,
man. So not
has
even a
anyone played
multiplayer?
Crossfire X yet?
No.
No, we were supposed to do a.
Game night on the Sunday. You didn't message me. Thank God I was knackered.
I thought you were just busy.
No, I was knackered. I was literally knackered. I'm going away this weekend. You like know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so ready to not do anything. It's gonna be amazing. Let's plug, and get ourselves out of here. Matt P, what you got to plug this week, my guy?
Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe and hit that bell, and then you'll get notified when I go live and play some Elden Ring. And you can join me and tell me to get good.
Fresh.
Go onto the iTunes, leave a review. Go to the YouTube, subscribe. We've actually been losing subscribers on the
What?
YouTube page.
We have.
Not
That's
by
Is
it.
that my
drastic
fault for
amount.
streaming
Not by
Elden Ring?
crazy. No.
It's
not
your
by,
fault, Matt. It's
I-
all your fault.
No, I think it's
I
my
think
fault.
it's just
I think it's my fault.
the
I think
delayed
it's
releases of the podcasts and stuff
consistency.
Yeah.
For a YouTube channel to be successful, you need to upload more than once a week. Number one, which doesn't help with us because we do a podcast. It's a podcast channel mainly, and number two, it's
Yeah.
consistency, and we've had neither. So
like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you could go bump those number ups, that'd be great. And follow the Twitter and all that stuff. Wherever you can find us and follow us.
I've got a new song out. It's called Head Pop. That's 3 releases, guys. That's 3 releases. 3 songs. And Head Pop, my best song yet. By a mile.
So after I agree with that. After how many songs are you putting a compilation out? I'm not saying an album.
Oh.
I'm
Oh,
just
no,
saying you
yeah.
re-release all
So,
the songs as a
yeah,
compilation.
Crash, this is why you've known me for too long. Because I literally, everyone's like, when you put an album out, I'm like, just wait. I'm literally going to put it out again as an album. And then they're going to go, we've heard all these. And I'll go, I don't care. There's your album. I'm not doing an album.
I've
Not
been doing
happening.
singles this whole time.
It's
You guys haven't been
singles.
paying attention.
If you ain't paying attention, that's on you, isn't it? Yeah, go check out Head Pop. It's on my Spotify page. It's doing really well so far. It's the most viewed song I've had in like the last 4 days. It's already passed like 2,500 streams on Spotify instantly, which is crazy. No one's messaged me about my music from the podcast, so I want you guys to tweet at me at MCFixer with the hashtag MXAM, and at least tell me it's shit if you don't like it. Like, I just want to hear some people's opinions. Like, is it better than you was expecting? Was it worse than you was expecting?
But what if they just haven't listened to it?
That hurts my feelings.
Go listen to
Head Pop.
Head Pop.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, go listen to
Fresh.
Head Pop. Look up Fix on Spotify, MC Fixer.
Best song.
Best song.
My best song, right?
It's your best song
So far.
so far.
Yeah, go check it out, man. I'd appreciate it. Other than that, yeah, go follow me on Instagram. I'm posting on Instagram again because I'm going out the house again. I went to see The Batman. I didn't go to the premiere, just so people are aware. I wasn't at the premiere. I was at the media premiere.
Okay.
You didn't
Different.
get to meet Robert Pattinson.
No, he was in London, and I know someone who did get to meet him, but no, I wasn't invited to that one for some reason. Guess I wasn't superstar enough this time. Don't know why. Doesn't make sense to me how I get invited to these things. Period. If I'm being honest with
Don't
you.
they know you made Head Pop?
Do you know what? Crash, you're right. That's why
Next
I get
time-
invited.
What you have to do is you got to bring a Bluetooth speaker next time you're walking down. You got to play Head Pop.
Pictures, headshots, man, get gone, head pop. And everyone's just like, Robert Pattinson's there, like, what the hell is this guy doing? Who invited him?
You never. First of all, you get kicked out of the event, and you're never going to another event again.
Or
It'd be worth
is
it.
Head Pop going to be the soundtrack to the Batman 2 with Rob Pattinson?
Robert
Could go one
Pattinson
way or
my-
the other, couldn't
really
it?
One of my
like it.
songs get picked up for a film, that would be epic.
Into the Spider-Verse? 2.
Until next
You know
time,
what you got to do?
love you. Leave you.
Bye.
See you later. Goodbye. Pictures, headshots, man, get gone, head pop.